it. It is up, and it is good. The shot.
Sienna Saints.
America proposes on Dunkin' Donuts promotions. Also, America dances on them and gets teed up for it. A technical for dancing. We're going to get to the bottom of this around the horn.
Dancing is never wrong.
Is that a violation?
Dancing's never wrong. Only in Footloose.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reale.
Bulls Celtics last night. Last second of the game. You're going to make the call here. Ready? Foul or no foul? Foul called to Marcus Smart. Jimmy Butler wins it for Chicago on the line. Tim, get us started here. Good call or bad call? Or a call you can make at .9 or a call you can't make at .9?
Well, I think a call. I think you can make a call whenever, any point in the game, if it's foul. I don't think that was a foul. And my biggest problem is the official looking straight at the play from under the basket, watches the shot go off, and then you see him turn and he's looking this way at the ball, and then he puts his arm up to make the call. It's a very, very delayed call, and I think that's what Boston was complaining about for the most part. You really have to zoom in, and maybe Marcus Smart got a little touch of the elbow, but I just think about when you're driving the lane the last play of the game, you really got to get hit to get to the foul line. I think it should be a little bit the same on the perimeter, and I don't think that was the case.
Ira Spain, good call or bad call?
Yeah, I'm probably going to get some heat from my fellow Chicagoans, but to me, that's not a great call. I had to put on my glasses and then my bifocals and then watch 5 replays and then have them highlight it in a box, proving to me that he actually made contact with the elbow. The ball didn't look like it was deflected enough to make a difference on its movement in the air. And like Tim said, it did take a hot minute for him to make that call and blow the whistle. So to me, you make the right call at any point in the game. But even at that point in the game, that wasn't the right call.
That's the question I want you to answer, Kevin Blackistone. Is that a call you can make at .9 seconds?
That's a call that you can make at the first tip of the game. That's a call that you can make right at the end of the game. A call is a call is a call. And it looked like to me that the hand was on the elbow, and if the hand's on the elbow of a jump shooter, it's going to affect the jump shot. And that's what happened in that particular case. And also, we got to remember that if you believe that the NBA favors superstars, then the superstar in this case is Jimmy Butler, and he got the benefit of that situation.
A lot to consider there for Kate Fagan. How about you, Kate?
As a former jump shooter, I'm going to be hard-pressed to argue that anytime you touch the elbow of a jump shot, that you shouldn't get the call. I mean, the jump shot to me is sacred. And yeah, you might have to put on your bifocals to see the touch of the elbow, but any glance of the elbow, whether it's up or to the side, is going to completely change the trajectory of the shot. I mean, anybody who's played one-on-one or pickup knows that all they do is tap the elbow on the way up and the person's shot is completely off balance. And I think even if it was hard to see at the end there, you know as a jump shooter that is an impossible thing to recover from if somebody touches the elbow.
Jump shot is sacred. Smart said that he got punished for playing good D. And he played incredible D in the possession before that with about 45 seconds left. You get any sense this is a Marcus Smart thing here, Tim?
No, not like from the referee's perspective, but I think after making that play 30 seconds earlier, he's trying to make another play. And he did give the officials the ability to make that call by getting as close as he did.
KB.
Yeah, I don't think you get punished for playing great D, and I don't think Marcus Smart has worked himself into a reputation in the league in which referees are going to be fingering him for every call.
Well, there are those flops that happen on occasion with Mr. Smart, but not in this instance. All right, we've been horned. We'll move on. Halfway point of the NBA season. Time for your halfway MVP. Could it be James Harden?
Yes.
Not him.
I don't know.
Him, James Harden.
Okay.
Read this quote from Time Magazine. You asked him if he's the MVP and the best player in the world. Quote, I feel like I'm solid in everything. IQ, studying the game. I can score the basketball, make my teammates better. There are not a lot of other guys that have all the characteristics in one. They might be way more athletic, shoot the ball better, but everything's solid in one human body. Sarah, we're talking about human bodies here, and best basketball player in the world, and MVP. Does James Harden have you convinced?
Well, first of all, I think we're taking the wrong pull quote from the interview, because I like the part where he said as soon as he became a point guard, he had a second guy in his head, and that guy is clean-shaven without a beard. I'm not sure why the point guard in his head doesn't have a beard, but I was more interested in that than him saying he's the best player in the world. Every single player within any reasonable chance of being named the best player or the MVP of the league is going to say that they're the best. He's averaging 6 turnovers a game. He still doesn't play great defense. He's playing, yes, an MVP season, but is he overall the best basketball player on the planet. I'm sorry, but no. But I like the confidence, and he has to say that.
KB, how about you?
Well, I'm still going to go with LeBron James, but I like the confidence, and I tell you what, I think he can back it up. Remember, he came into this season not being a point guard in the NBA. We all laughed at the notion of him doing this, and look how well he's doing it. Yeah, he's got the turnovers, but he's handling the ball like 90% of the time, and on top of that, he's making the assists, he's running the offense, he's made the team better, he's scoring at a high rate, shooting at a high efficiency. Oh, and guess what? You know what? He gets a bad rap on the defense because so many of his defensive lapses are those Olay things that we see on replays. But half the time he's been in this league, or more than half the time he's been on this league, he's been on teams that have been better than average when it comes to defensive efficiency.
Okay.
So
but those,
can't be.
Hold on a second. Those Olays have to count for something. Olay to Kevin Black.
Those are the worst kind.
All right. Kate, did he convince you in any way?
Partially. I mean, Harden gets a bad rap on defense because he's currently 379th in efficiency on the defensive side of the ball in the NBA. Like, it's not just those moments. It's like an overall body of work for James Harden. But what I did love in the Time magazine article was, if you read about his transition to point guard, he talks about how even thinking about other people and being a distributor and having to see other guys in his team hit 30 points, it's really infused his own game and challenged his own game to get better, well-rounded. Now, what James Harden needs to do in order to be the best player in the world is to have that same mentality about how he works on the defensive side and how he works within his teammates on the defensive side of the ball. Once he gets that done, he's obviously the best player in the world.
Kalisha.
Kate, if you're ever 379th in something, are you getting a bad rap or are you just bad? I mean, I don't think that could be a rap at that point. I do think James Harden is one of the 5 or 6 guys in the NBA who have a right to talk about themselves as the best player in the world, and the growth he has made that everybody's talked about with the transition to point guard this year, and averaging 10 assists and still scoring all the points. It is remarkable. Some of the other guys who are great don't play a lot of defense most of the time. Some of them are more capable of it occasionally, but I think Harden is clearly in that discussion.
All right, KB.
Well, I'm just going to add, he's averaging 1.5 steals a game, which is awfully good in this league. And would you be surprised to find out that just a few seasons ago, when it came to defensive win shares, that he was in the top 10? I was shocked to find that out. So, there are other ways to look at it.
Okay.
Years ago.
Anybody else surprised to hear this? Sarah, you put your finger on your chin there.
I'm just wondering, are we doing most improved player or best player on the planet? Because, congrats on doing so well in the point guard position and getting better at
Duly
defense.
noted, Sarah. Let's do MVP through the first half, which isn't even the first half of the year. But it's the first half of our year right now because it's the All-Star break. MVP for you, Spain?
Harden.
Blackstone?
Harden.
Fagan?
Harden.
Kalisha?
I'll make it unanimous.
Something that could have been brought to my attention earlier. All right, we'll move on. Steve Kerr not saying how much time we'll see Durant and Westbrook sharing the floor at the All-Star game. He's keeping his lineup close and his enemies closer. I saw Westbrook earlier this afternoon when asked by Ramona Shelburne at a podium what he thought about Durant and Westbrook on the court of this All-Star game. And he asked her about her idea of fashion. So he's not even entertaining that question. KB, we'll start with you. What should Steve Kerr do here? And does he owe it to fans to put them on the court together?
Well, the only time I played Ticket Scalper was at the 1985 NBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis when I bought 10 tickets and went down there because I knew people would be drooling to get in to see Michael Jordan. Guess what? We got in, and that was the freeze-out game. That's why you go to All-Star games, is to see the best players and to see combinations that you don't see. And there's no reason that Steve Kerr should shy away from putting 4 Warriors plus 1 being Westbrook on that floor together. That's what people want to see. Come on.
You agree, Fagan?
I don't think he needs to shy away, but I don't think he also has to be premeditated in how he works with Westbrook and whether he wants them working together with his Golden State Warriors. It's kind of like when you walk into a party with someone that you have history with. You don't want to go out of your way to avoid them, and you also don't want to make sure that you run into them. You just go about your night and let what happens. That's how Kerr has to approach this. I think if he's got a rotation going and Westbrook makes sense in that rotation, he uses him, but he doesn't want to go out of his way in either direction when it comes to this All-Star game.
Going to parties with someone you have beef with. Sounds personal here. Are you talking about Kalisha by any chance,
History
Tim?
is what I
Defend
said.
yourself.
I'm going to just move on and say that I think when Westbrook comes into the game, here's all you do. It's very simple. Westbrook checks in for Steph Curry, and now you have Westbrook, Durant, and Harden reliving the Oklahoma City days from 5 years ago, and it gives
Yeah.
all of them a feel-good mood. And Durant and Russell doesn't think about so much, I'm playing with Durant. He's thinking about playing with all of them. So you do that. You do it for the fans. You also do it for your team to remove any kind of lingering problems those two are having.
Spain?
I'll tell you what, if you walk into a party and you have history with someone and now your person on your arm is hotter and smarter and richer and better at everything than that person, then you do go out of your way to seek them out and see them.
Look at
Hello,
Sarah
how are
Spain
you?
here. Oh,
And to me,
that
that's
twinkle
all
in
I'm
the eye
saying is
there.
that if
Woo.
you're
That sounds
Steve
like you're
Kerr,
speaking
you're in the
for Steve.
position right now where you're showing up to the party with the best looking dates you can find, and so you need to make it extra awkward. Doc Rivers said, my advice to him is don't try to make anyone that's opposing you mad because you don't want him to go out and score 50 against you next time you see him. If you're Kerr, you're like, listen, man, I'm coaching the Warriors. Like, I'm really not worried about anyone going off on us and having any difference on our
So
season.
your advice would be just the exact opposite. All right, let's make some picks
Yes.
here. I saw Westbrook as the favorite for All-Star MVP, and maybe it's for the reasons we just talked about or because he's a maniac in these games. MVP pick, Kalishaw?
MVP will be Steph Curry in this game.
Spain?
I got LeBron coming in with the head of steam and something to prove.
Blackstone?
I'm going to say John Wall shows up
Fagan.
off the
Whoa.
bench.
I'm going to say KD.
And the competitions you care about. I don't need to even volunteer 3 skills or dunk. A pick to make, Tim Kalishaw?
Aaron Gordon, who almost won the dunk contest last year, wins it this year.
Spain.
I want Karl Anthony Towns to repeat in the skills. Go big men.
Blackstone?
I'd like to see. I just like to see the 3-point contest. That's thrilling to me.
That's it? That you're not even making a pick? He just wants it
wants to
to
see
exist in the world? Well, guess what? It will be on tomorrow.
Buy or sell.
Sidney Crosby, 1,000 points. 10th fastest in NHL history to 1,000. Fastest in the last 24 seasons to do it. Check out Dave Lozo of Vice Sports here. He calls it the most impressive 1,000 ever, question mark. When you consider today's NHL compared to the other more offensive eras, he calls it more impressive than Wayne Gretzky, Tim Kalishaw. Does any of that ring any bells for you, and how should we consider Crosby's 1,000?
Oh, it rings some bells. I mean, it's a valid argument. He got there faster than Yager did 20 years ago when there was a lot more scoring in the league. You know, he wears 87. That's the year he was born. He got there before he turned 30. And with all the concussions and problems he's had, that makes it even more remarkable to me.
Okay, more impressive than Gretzky then? I'm going to put that right on your table right here. Tim, yes or no?
No.
With such certainty. Sarah, how about you?
Yeah, I think anytime you try to compare anyone to the great one, everyone's going to get real quiet, right? We're all going to hesitate like that because it feels like a body of work mention and not a specific mention of this particular trek to get to 1,000. But like Tim mentioned, 29, 2 Hart trophies, 2 Stanley Cups, 2 Olympic golds. To me, it almost feels like somehow getting to 1,000, 12th time, fastest time, isn't even that big of a deal because it's Sidney Crosby and he's so amazing that we're like, yeah, it's just another thing that he's done. And it's meaningful to him and it's meaningful because it's a number, but it's Crosby.
All right, we'll save the rest for your FaceTime. Kevin Blackstone, how about you?
Thank you. Let me just be emphatic, Tone. No, absolutely not. Come on. Gretzky had 2,857 points. Unbelievable what he did in this league. And it's always nice for Sidney to join Ovechkin in something, who scored his 1,000 this year.
All right. To be fair, this was 123 games faster than Ovechkin. Fagan, how about you?
No, I mean, if you even want to break down the points per year, Gretzky was like 190 a year, and Crosby was at like 85 points a year. Even if you account for how the percentage of scoring has gone down, like that doesn't make that kind of leap. And it's bad that comparison is even being made because Crosby's awesome, and this is an awesome achievement. Yep. And having to compare him to Wayne Gretzky just feels like it's a lose-lose for him, which on a moment that should just be momentous.
Buy or sell too. Timberwolves owner Glenn Taylor talking up playoffs. T-Wolves 13th in the West right now, 3.5 out of the 8th spot, but the owner thinks it'd be good for the young guys to get the playoffs. Sarah, would you buy the T-Wolves getting more out of the playoffs or more out of the lottery?
Yeah, usually I'm not for a team trying to eke their way into that 8th spot just so that they can get bounced. But for me, when you have the longest playoff absence in the league, you need to give guys a taste of something. And I think it was Ricky Rubio, he said a couple years ago, just being in the conversation helps because you give guys a reason to try to congeal, to try to find ways to work together and be as good as they can be. If they know that they're better off getting into the lottery, you're not going to work on much.
KB.
They've been in the lottery for many, many years. In fact, they haven't been in the playoffs since the early 2000s. Do a little something different for that franchise and for the fans who still come out and watch all that talent and try and get into the playoffs. That's the point of playing the game.
It would be death by Warriors if they did get in, and I'm actually against them getting in simply for the fact of the injury that just hit them with Zach LaVine. I think if he hadn't gotten injured, I'd be like, let's get all these young guys the experience. But with that injury, it feels like they kind of need that lottery pick to add maybe a veteran defensive presence or another piece that can help them going forward.
Tim Kalishaw?
I think even death by Warriors is better than missing again. You don't want to be permanent lottery residents like Sacramento, and you play Golden State, and you lose one of those playoff games by 35 points, and you realize we've still got a long way to go. That's a good lesson as well.
Before we were on air here, Tim, you called them a disappointing team this year. You want to expand on that?
Well, I mean, everybody thought Wiggins, Towns, Rubio, Levine's hurt now, but he played a lot. This is a team ready to make a move, and they started out horribly. They're one of the biggest disappointments in the league.
Fire Cell 3, NC State firing Mark Godfrey. They're 3-11 in conference with losses by 51, 30, and 25. And they're letting him finish out the season. Kevin, buy or sell that? Godfrey finishing out the season for the Wolfpack.
Well, I buy that he should finish out the season. I never think it's a good idea in college in particular to fire people in the middle of a season. Not only that, just a week ago, Debbie Yao, the AD down there, said that she was going to wait until the end of the season to evaluate his job. So what changed?
Fagan?
I'm going to buy it. I think that that's what a coach should do, especially if he believes in his kids and he has bonds with them and he wants to see them throughout the end of the year. And it could be good for him if this team does make a run. Then at least at that point, he's kind of setting himself up for wherever he wants to land next.
Kalishaw?
But once you've made a decision to fire somebody, why do you then have them stay around? You've already said, hey, you want to stay to finish what you started. You didn't start anything here. We're getting rid of you. But fans, come to these games. Keep watching this team play. This guy can't coach, but we're going to let him finish out the season.
And Spain, buy or sell firing a coach but letting him finish out the season.
Right, he started something because his first couple of years were a great success, but of course the last two haven't been great. And as Kevin said, listen, I think Yao was a little bit moved by the fact that they've lost 6 straight by an average of 19.2 points, and they lost by 51. So when it starts to get this ugly, you say, I need to make a move so I don't get criticized. Now you just have to trust the kids and the coach to play it out fair.
Yo, everybody get up! Everybody get up! Everybody needs to understand that I'm more than simply a hype man for this rap group. Just like Geico is more than just a company that can save you money. Geico also has fast and friendly claim service, so they can help you when you need it most. And while I do love being a hype man, I also love reading for children's audiobooks. Like Little Bo Peep, she lost a sheep, and she don't know where to find them. Yo!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Jay Gallen last night, goaltender for the St. Louis Blues, lost his face mask and for 10 seconds had to 10 goal like it was 1958. Rule says if there's a scoring opportunity, play can't stop. He turned away a shot without a mask. Sarah, if you're the ref, are you stopping play here?
Yeah, because that scoring opportunity came well after the mask came off. Look, they're already skating on knives and have vulcanized rubber flying at their heads. I don't think we need to add in any extra danger by waiting on that whistle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm calling it too. I mean, this happens in soccer. The only difference is that in soccer, the actual soccer players have to make the decision to kick it out of bounds, and they have a vested interest in the outcome. So in this one, the refs who don't got to be quicker on that.
Guys agree, but only one said skating on knives with vulcanized rubber flying at their face. Point Spain. Showdown 2. Here's a high school basketball game in Kent County, Maryland, where the point guard dances with the ball and is called for a technical foul for dancing with the ball. Kate, play referee for us. Are you making that call?
No, if I'm the referee, I'm actually pulling that kid aside during any break and requesting dance moves. I'm making sure that there is a continuation of constant dancing with the basketball.
Yeah, if there's any technical, it's for a hater in the house because that ref watched that and he was so confused by how amazing it was. He didn't even travel while he was doing that. So the text should be on the ref for ruining the fun.
So, yeah, no walk on that either for him, huh? Okay.
No.
Point for each. We'll move on. Showdown 3. Hitting a half-court shot in a Dunkin' Donuts promotion. Then getting proposed to from under the Dunkin' Donuts cup. She won a $500 gift certificate to Dunkin' and a ring from her fiancé. What will be remembered more, the shot or the engagement? And grade that proposal for us, Sarah.
The engagement will be remembered for being incredibly stupid, because engagements at sporting events are always stupid, but especially when the man you're going to spend the rest of your life with has to be pulled out of a Dunkin' Donuts coffee cup.
I'm just too distracted because the 518 has been repped on Around the Horn, Siena, Loudonville, upstate New York, the Times Union Center. These are the places where I played ball growing up, so shout out to the 518.
Well, that sounded like
Did you
a
get
wonderful
engaged to
FaceTime right there, Kate. But Sarah's got the points and the win. Let's go.
Keep going.
Guys, it's 60 degrees in Chicago. Baseball is on the way. Pitchers and catchers are out in Mesa. And all the Cubs players are too, the world champion Cubs, including Jake Arrieta, who made a bet with teammate Tommy La Stella during the College World Series. And since Coastal Carolina won, Jake Arrieta had to get a tattoo of that on his butt cheek. He got it in December, but he showed reporters this week. And the only thing worse than that is the guy who got the Tom Brady face on his butt, because now he's got a butt chin on his butt.